Hello, everyone. Chris Martinson here of Peak Prosperity, here to talk with you about, I want to know what you think about this. Is Bitcoin, our crypto, under attack or not? Is this going to be a good thing? Is this going to be a bad thing? Let me know your comments because we have to talk about this, and what we're going to be talking about is this, looks like a little bit of a takedown here. And here's the story as I understand it. First, Bitcoin's really people's money. That's how it was set up, and people really gravitated to it. It was really people, ordinary people, who decided to get involved, drive it forward, invest in it because it was anonymizing, democratizing, and allowed complete portability, and it didn't have the tendrils of Wall Street and the government all over it. However, that seems to have changed pretty dramatically. On June 5th, the SEC filed 13 separate charges against Binance, one of the largest crypto exchanges. So a crypto exchange, a digital asset exchange, is a place, it's the on-ramp and the off-ramp. If you want to buy or sell and you put money in or take money back out again, it is the on-ramp or the off-ramp for cryptocurrencies. Of course, you could also put crypto in and exchange that directly. It doesn't have to be money, but it is an exchange, is the way that you would interact with other human beings around your wealth. So then June 6th, same thing. SEC now is charging Coinbase, one of the other largest crypto exchanges in the world, and charging it with operating as an unregistered securities exchange broker clearing agency, whereas the charges against Binance were more extensive, operating an unregistered exchange, unregistered broker-dealer, unregistered clearing agency, misrepresenting trading controls and oversight on the U.S. platform, and also the unregistered sale of securities. So these are pretty hefty charges by the SEC. Now, you don't say. It wasn't barely a day had passed from the Coinbase charges from the SEC, where the Soros Fund management CEO came right out and said, crypto seems to be right for a TradFi takeover. What's TradFi, you ask? Traditional finance. These would be the big banks. This is the Deutsche Bank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs. These are credit card companies, things like that. So TradFi, ripe for a TradFi takeover. Now, the normal way you go about doing a takeover in a capitalist society is you make an offer for a company that's doing something you'd rather be doing, and you buy them out. There's another way too, if you have the reach, if you have the power, and that is to have your competition taken out for you so that you can set something up. So that's June 7th. Well, these things take time. It takes time to strike deals and figure out how to work together as companies. If you're going to do that, it takes time to set up complicated things like exchange. June 15th, BlackRock already filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF, an exchange traded fund with Coinbase, at least as the crypto custodian, but BlackRock is going to be owning that ETF. Okay, well, they're still working with Coinbase here, so they set that up, which is, now we have a crypto exchange directly competing with other exchanges, which are now entangled in SEC action, set up by Schwab and Fidelity, and also Citadel is wrapped up in this thing. So now they've actually gone live, offering Bitcoin and Ether trading. This isn't like, hey, we plan to do this now that these things are happening. They actually have already gone live, meaning these things were in the works for a long time. June 5th, June 6th, boom, June 20th, here we are. Wow, that's fast. Golf claps for the speed and precision by which this was accomplished. Genevieve Rockdechter here, CFA, says, good morning, everyone. Deutsche Bank too? A European giant with 1.4 trillion in assets applies for regulatory license to operate crypto custody service. Big banks are getting in the game now. That's TradFi. Meanwhile, the independent players like Coinbase are getting sued by the SEC. That's awkward. A little awkward timing. Now, people still have gold and silver, though, right? If you feel like, the cryptos are being sort of dominated, and some of the reasons that you wanted to, have your money out of the system where it wasn't controlled by systemic players or have the oversight of systemic players like Deutsche Bank, et cetera, you could always have gold and silver. So you know what you would want to do if you were these people setting up these new exchanges? Well, I know what I would want to do. I would want to make sure gold and silver took it in the shorts, sort of as a grand opening party, sort of as a way to kick things off and get things off on the right foot. Oh, well, wouldn't you know? On June 20th, at the U.S. market open, gold slammed, silver slammed, just to, I think, reinforce the point that you're not in control. They are. They control the horizontal and the vertical dials in this particular drama. So that's how I see it. Not everything has to be a conspiracy, of course, but there are no coincidences in politics or Wall Street. That's just how the system rolls. And by the way, I'm not the only person seeing this way. Of course, Preston Pish here writing, I'm sorry, but after watching BlackRock, Fidelity, Citadel, Schwab, and now Deutsche Bank all apply for Bitcoin ETFs, spot exchanges, etc., only a few days after the SEC drops a TRO on Binance and sues Coinbase, how can't you think this entire past year was a giant inside job coordinated between the Wall Street parasites and government regulators so they could catch up? Well, Preston, I think those are reasonable questions to be asking at this point. Now, listen, this could be very constructive for the price of Bitcoin because this is signaling, at least very clearly, that the big players now want in. They want in on this story. They want their fair cut. Fair would be you buy out the other exchanges. Unfair is you go out and you get the regulatory bodies to do your bidding to squash your competition. And that's what you would have in a crony capitalist system. And I'm not implying we have one. It's just that's how things seem to be working lately. So at any rate, that's the story we have here for you now. If you like this kind of thinking, Peak Prosperity is where we hold these kinds of conversations all the time. And this is an incredibly, ridiculously fast-moving period of time in history. Big things are happening, like we saw with Coinbase. Big things happening across the ocean over there in Germany, in that theater that I can't use the words yet because of censorship on places like YT. So big things are happening, and of course, you need to know about them. So be sure to hang out with your fellow tribespeople who understand what's going on in the world. Talk about it freely. We're not afraid of free speech. We love a full-throated conversation, and we will discuss anything but back at Peak Prosperity because we are still under fairly heavy censorship control out here in this other world that we're inhabiting. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.